I'd start with my three key big ideas that I want to make sure I get to at the end. So if I don't finish, they're there. I think we really need, in thinking about professional practice, to find the right balance between form and substance. I think we will only improve pedagogy with sustained and effective collaborative professional development. And we need to bring teachers on board with an approach to their development that creates hope and not fear. What I want to emphasise in the 10 minutes I have is the importance of rethinking the professional practices needed to support teachers and learners. If you like, a new paradigm for our core business. We know that despite concerns about international rankings, Australian education is actually working reasonably well. We also know that aspects of teachers' practice can be improved dramatically, and Margot and others have just talked about that as well. As a profession, what we don't know very well is how to judge the quality of professional practice and how to distinguish what works from what doesn't, and especially how to judge how well certain practices work and then what to do about it. And when I say work in this context, I mean in terms of overall outcomes for students, both academic and social. And I mean, of course, for all students in terms of equity concerns. My research with colleagues over the past decade or more, and I've just put the three most recent, but I was centrally involved in the work on productive pedagogy as well. Our research has produced powerful evidence of classroom and assessment practices that produce better outcomes for students, and powerful evidence of professional learning activities that contribute to teacher learning and improve student outcomes. I don't have time, of course, to share the details of these studies, but with literally millions of research dollars invested in this work and data sets with over 20,000 pieces of student work, more than 600 assessment tasks, more than 700 classroom observations, and around the same number of hour-long interviews with teachers and school leaders, I'm pretty confident that our findings can contribute to how we think about professional practice, both in terms of teaching practice and in terms of teacher development practice. One of the main ideas I want to leave you with today is the view that in both teaching practice and teacher development practice, we've placed too much emphasis on form over substance. When it comes to instructional practice, we've ended up with a host of unhelpful binaries about teacher-directed versus student-centred learning, traditional versus progressive pedagogy, and so on. There's now a substantial body of work, some my own, others you've heard of today, that shows that students will do better if we engage them in intellectually challenging and authentic tasks. Cooperative learning, experiential approaches, direct instruction, all have a place in teaching. What matters most is what we're asking students to do and to learn. Understanding pedagogy as not only how we teach, which has been the emphasis in many alternatives to traditional pedagogy, but understanding that how we teach is inseparable from what we teach and who we teach is at the core of how we should be thinking about professional practice. When it comes to teacher development, there's also too much emphasis on the processes of professional development and not enough on its substance. In the meantime, huge investments of time and money by schools and school systems have had minimal impact on teaching practice or student outcomes. In the swing towards professional learning communities and processes like instructional rounds and lesson study, teachers have not had sufficient guidance on how to judge and improve their own and each other's practice. I'd also argue that mentoring and coaching don't go far enough if a new paradigm is to be created. Imploring teachers to do better or to collaborate in order to do better, or even imparting the wisdom of talented teachers will not produce the kind of change that's needed to profoundly improve schooling outcomes. We've recently completed a 4-year project investigating what we call quality teaching rounds, in which we bring together the strengths of professional learning communities and instructional rounds with the powerful concepts and language of the quality teaching model. Engaging teachers in taking turns in groups to observe each other's teaching and engage in deep and sustained professional conversations about the quality of the observed practice and implications not only for that lesson or for that assessment task or that unit of work, but for teaching practice more broadly. Comparing the quality of teaching for teachers who participated in these rounds with the quality of teaching among teachers in our earlier descriptive non-intervention studies has yielded effect sizes over 0.5 and as high as 1.8 for every element and dimension of the quality teaching model. These kinds of effect sizes are pretty unheard of in educational research. We also have differences between teachers participating in rounds and teachers in the same and closely connected schools who are not participating in rounds, with large effect sizes for most of the scales in our survey, including a very important scale that measures teachers' responsibility for student learning, an aspect of teachers' dispositions that we've found to be highly correlated with the quality of their teaching. Teachers who believe they can make a difference, who believe their kids can learn, and who believe they are responsible for student learning tend to be better teachers. Our most recent research has also found significant correlations between teachers' participation in these quality teaching rounds and students' NAPLAN results. I've got the quantitative data, but I can't put the massive results up there, but there's a quote from one of the principals in the school talking about the difference that this has made. I have detailed evidence for all of these claims. I'm happy to elaborate if I get a chance as the day goes on, but in short, this work is at the forefront of international research on the relationships among teacher learning, teaching quality, and student learning. In any national framework for supporting teacher development in Australia, we should be drawing on the solid research evidence that our studies and others in Australia, like Julia and Margot's work, has produced. Elmore, of instructional rounds fame, acknowledges a major weakness of instructional rounds is the lack of an agreed framework for what constitutes quality. Pam Grossman and others, using professional learning communities, recognise the problem of teachers achieving agreement about what to focus on and how to address it. The quality teaching model provides such a framework based on research developed for the New South Wales Department of Education and Training, adopted by the ACT Department and many Catholic dioceses and independent schools. The quality teaching model enables teachers to notice aspects of practice that might not otherwise come to their attention, to undertake fine-grained critical analysis of the quality of practice, and to identify specific ways to improve individually and collectively. Such specificity and guidance is missing from many other approaches to teacher development and from almost all articulations of teacher standards. Using quality teaching in the context of quality teaching rounds, especially if pre-service teacher ed and ongoing professional development are aligned in these ways of working, we have a potentially culture changing, professional practice changing, and outcomes changing approach that works. Our studies show improved outcomes for students, improved equity for low SES and Aboriginal students, improved teacher satisfaction, improved teaching quality, and improvements in the learning culture of schools. Several studies have shown a plateau in teacher learning after the first year. Our own data found no statistically significant differences between early career teachers and those with more experience using our measures. If teachers don't teach better after the first year, this signals a profound problem with how ongoing teacher learning has been enacted. We need a culture of professional engagement and renewal, of collaboration with clear direction, through an approach that inspires teachers through hope rather than fear, and that has at its core the quality of learning for all students. I plan to talk about hope and fear later if I get a chance, but in short, when teachers can see their own and each other's practice making a difference, it gives them confidence and hope. A new paradigm needs to stop blaming teachers without providing viable alternatives, and needs to stop pouring precious education dollars into professional development without confidence that the investment will have a positive impact on teaching practice and student outcomes. Thank you.